are advised that the views and opinions expressed in this program are not necessarily those of Love 101 FM.
Hello and welcome to the Morning Watch on Love 101 FM. I'm your host, Stokeley Marshall, and Love 101 FM is the number one gospel station in Jamaica. A special welcome to our listeners on love101.org. And if you are overseas and on the move, US listeners can access us at 712-832-8001. And if you are in the UK, 0330-332-6541, or join us via the Love 101 FM app that can be downloaded from the Google Play Store or the Apple Store. You can also check us out on Love 101 FM Facebook Live and YouTube Live. In the main watch today, DVBS, that is Daily Vacation Bible School, 2022 and beyond. And in the second watch, is it the environment versus the people? In our social media question, we asked, what do you see as the future of Daily Vacation Bible School, DVBS, in Jamaica? Share your responses on our Facebook or YouTube. Love 101 FM Jamaica Live, and also WhatsApp comments and voice notes to 876-997-3125 using the hashtag The Morning Watch. We'll share your comments later on the program, but first, here's I quote.
This morning's I quote, God never said that the journey would be easy, but he did say that the arrival would be worthwhile. Max Lucado.
And I would say amen, amen, amen to that. Nadine?
Amen, amen.
Amen. The main watch will be back after this break.
King for the summer. Flow, you are the king for the flow. Some summer 60 mil cash and prize for the winners. Run a summer. Enough winnings. Make sure you're in.
Win your share of over $60 million in cash and prizes. Scratch your phone and win instant prize. Plus a chance for win weekly prize of cash, tablets, and smart TVs. Dial *129*6 number sign to activate any unlimited social plan. Get a yard and road plan or pay your bill on time and in full to win. Visit discoverflow.co. Conditions apply.
Flow some summer. Run a summer. 60 mil cash and prize for the winners. Some summer. Enough winnings. Make sure you're in. The king said that. King for the summer. Flow, you are the king for the flow some summer. Plenty prize in a flow some summer.
Authorized under Section 58.3 of the Betting, Gaming and Lotteries Act.
Prepare for the future with over $3 million in cash and prizes with Tang. From May 9th to July 30th, a chance to win monthly prizes of laptops, tablets, smart savings accounts, school supplies voucher. Grand draw on August 17th. First place $1 million. Second place $500,000. Third place $250,000. Buy any 6-pack of Tang for a chance to win. Upload receipts at tangpromotion.com. Drop in supermarkets or mail box 2010 CSO.
Bashco time. All the things that you need for your home and price is so low, you would never need a loan at Bashco. At Bashco. Appliances, house with furniture and rugs, east side linens and glass and mugs at Bashco. You at Bashco. Whether the north or so in the east and the west, Bashco them all over. They must be the best at Bashco. At Bashco. At Bashco. At Bashco. Giving you more.
Win a bag of cash for back to school with Alliance MoneyGram Money Transfer. Every MoneyGram money transfer you collect at an Alliance agent from now until September 9 gives you a chance to win a share of $2.8 million in cash.
That's a bag of cash.
10 winners of $20,000 from each parish, right in time for back to school from Alliance.
A bag of things for back to school.
Alliance, a member of Sagicor Group Jamaica. Conditions apply.
Anyway, you get the money transfer.
Alliance.
We are back outside with family, friends, and more fun at Fun Fest Family Festival. Monday, August 1st, come experience the new Hope Garden. Bounce, play, splash in the fantastic fun zone, water park, family concert, mascot parade, games arcade, and bingo. Adults 1,000, children 3 years and over 700, and toddlers free. Fun Fest Family Festival, Monday, August 1st, Emancipation Day at the new Hope Garden. Gates open at 10 a.m. to 7 p.m. Come out early.
Welcome back to the Morning Watch. I'm your host, Stokeley Marshall. We are now in the main watch, and growing up in Jamaica in what many will say were the good old days, the only summer camp most persons knew about was at church, the daily vacation Bible school. Whether you went to that church or not, you would likely be there for that summer. And we know we have had a lot of restrictions that has disrupted a lot of this over the last 2 years. But when was the last time that you even considered daily vacation Bible school? Some call it DVBS, some call it VBS. We have as our guests this morning to discuss this very important, can I say, tradition of our Jamaican Christian experience. Pastor Christopher Kennedy. He is pastor of Joyland and Abrams Mennonite Churches, St. Elizabeth. We also have Bishop the Honorable Conrad Pitkin, Senior Pastor, Assembly of God, Faith Temple, Montego Bay, and past president of the Jamaica Full Gospel Churches, and I would even add past chairman of the National Religious Media Commission. Good morning, gentlemen. How are you both?
Good morning. How are you, sir, and Pastor Kennedy, and to your listeners?
Good morning, Bishop. Pastor Kennedy.
On the program again, Stokeley. You're a great program.
Oh, always a pleasure having both of you, sirs. Now, is VBS still a thing? Are persons still sending their children out to VBS, and are the churches still hosting VBS? Starting with you, Bishop.
Okay. Well, yes. The last time we had VBS was in 2019. As you know, COVID, the pandemic came in 2020. So we were 2 years out, and we have not reconvened for this year. But 2019 was the last time. And it was something that the children and parents looked forward to. We would have sometime up to 100 and 150 children in our VBS each year for the summer. We run Mondays through Friday, and the program was an exciting program. It has its place, and I do believe it is still relevant.
Pastor Kennedy.
Yes, Stokely. Yes, I know of people, churches still wanting to have VBS. I think they understand very, very well the role it plays in furnishing children with an understanding of the Bible, an understanding of Christianity, and so on. helps them to develop their Christian understanding and appreciation. And the churches that I know certainly tried their best. I think they understand very well that it's a flagship activity in the life of a child for the sake of Christ. And they do their best not to slip up on that. So as far as I know, yes, despite the difficulties, I think churches are determined, those who have been doing it, to continue.
And is it still considered relevant today? We're now in 2022. There are so many other distractions from the wider world. And some children are busy with their heads in their phones, in their tablets, in their other devices. Relevance today, starting with you, Bishop.
Yes, as I said, it is still relevant. It has its place, and Pastor Kennedy went further to say it's a Bible based and properly planned and executed. We find that the children are at home, and majority, especially those 12 and under, are not the age group that is largely catered for in most youth camps. And so you'll find that the parents are happy to have this kind of activity for the kids, which engage them in wholesome activities throughout that period when they're at work. I would hasten to say that in our case, our program is a multidisciplinary program, so it's not just about the Bible base, but you have art and craft, you have sports, and so you give them that wholesome program, and they themselves as children always look forward to be engaged in these activities. And I think it's something that the church would continue to promote.
Touching on something that Bishop just, Pastor Kennedy, touching on something that Bishop just said, how do churches continue to try to make VBS attractive to children, to bring them out? Because there are other things that they could be doing. Pastor Kennedy?
Yes, well, Pastor just mentioned it a while ago, diversifying the activities, bringing in sports, and people would bring in those little things that children jump on and those kind of things provided by certain companies, entertainment companies. So they diversify it from that perspective. But the things that you say are what would question its relevance, are the things that cause churches to want to do it, tablets and so on. We see the dangers of those things, how distracting they can be, how they can eventually cause children not to want to come to church or be involved in anything otherwise. And it's important, I think churches realize the importance of turning up their programs, so to speak, intensifying this diversity and so on, to ensure that we keep children, under the ambit of church teaching, under the ambit of Bible teaching.
Now, are churches having VBS this year based on your knowledge, Bishop and Pastor? Bishop, are you aware of any other churches having VBS this year?
No, I am not so aware that if it is, it will be at a very low scale because we will not be having it this year either. But we are looking forward. We are going to start back intensifying our activities come this September.
I see. And Pastor Kennedy?
Advertising. I've heard churches advertising DVBS. So
good.
I know that churches are doing it, and I think it's important that we don't lose that momentum, because you get children stopping from DVBS now, then it's like starting all over again. I know of a particular church that has had challenges in attendance general since COVID, and they took it to the homes. People, they had staff members going into the homes and having DVBS. So that's so important, and that's the level of sacrifice that some churches have undertaken. The churches that I know that believe in DVBS are pushing ahead. I hear the advertising, I hear the discussions, and so on.
And there are other types of camps that are competing arguably with VBS. I mean, you have sports camps, you have cooking camps, you have animation type camps where children are learning how to do animation, TV animation, movie animation, even marine camps. Have you thought of how to navigate that entire space to get the children nevertheless coming to church? Well, we are already upon a break. We're going to ask to comment on that after we return from the break. Gentlemen, Bishop and Pastor, listeners, please stay with us. We'll be right back on the Morning Watch.
Tired of the high interest rates and the whole heap of loan payments every month? Take a debt consolidation loan from AIM to pay credit card bills and all other high interest rate loans from other institutions. Make one low monthly payment to AIM and take home some extra money in your pocket. That's financial freedom. One loan, one low payment, more money in your pocket. Call AIM today to lower your loan payments. And remember, you won't find a better deal elsewhere. Guaranteed.
We are a proud, resilient nation.
60 and growing stronger. Together we'll make the future bright. With Flow by our side. One love. Black, green, and gold all the way.
Keeping the link strong.
Out many. To everyone.
Enough love from Flow, Jamaica's network.
The world is full of job opportunities locally and overseas. Let us bring them to you. Register now at Distinction College located at 26 Hagley Park Road, Kingston, 6 Nugent Street, Spanish Town, and Ocho Rios. In 2 to 3 months, earn local and international certificates in housekeeping, food and beverage, food preparation, receptionist, and customer service. Qualified to work in hotels, cruise ships, restaurants, and businesses worldwide. No subjects required, no age limits, no entrance test. Day, evening, and Saturday classes begin very soon at low school fees. Easy and flexible payment plans. Call us 356-4167.
Hi, I'm Juliet Cuthbert Flynn, Minister of State in the Ministry of Health and Wellness. July is Healthcare Worker Appreciation Month. Our healthcare workers have given remarkable service to support and safeguard the health of all Jamaicans, from our porters, drivers, and administrators, midwives, and medical technologists, all healthcare workers in all forms. We value you and all you've given to our people. Thank you for your bravery and commitment to Jamaica. Happy Healthcare Worker Appreciation Month.
A message from the Ministry of Health and Wellness.
The search is on to find our 2022 Gospel Star. Your votes will help decide the winner. Watch Sunday, July 24 at 6 p.m. on PBCJ, Love TV, Facebook at Jamaica Cultural Development Commission, and YouTube at JCDC Jamaica 1. Tune in for the grand finale Saturday, July 30 at 6 p.m. Remember, vote for your favorite to be the next Gospel Star.
We are a proud, resilient nation.
60 and growing stronger. Together we'll make the future bright. With Flow by our side. One love. Black, green, and gold all the way.
Keeping the link strong.
Out many. To everyone.
Enough love from Flow, Jamaica's network.
Welcome back to the Morning Watch. I'm your host, Stokeley Marshall. We are in the main watch having a very interesting and relevant conversation today. And the topic in this main watch is Vacation Bible School, often called VBS for short. Daily Vacation Bible School 2022 and beyond. And we have as our guest this morning, Pastor Christopher Kennedy, Pastor Jordan and the Abrams Mennonite Church of St. Elizabeth, and Bishop the Honorable Conrad Pitkin, Senior Pastor, Assembly of God Faith Temple, Montego Bay, and past President, Jamaica Full Gospel Churches, and past Chairman of the National Religious Media Commission. Just before the break, gentlemen, I was outlining to you the various other camps that are arguably or potentially competing with the VBS. Sports camps, cooking camps, various types of camps. I'm not saying that the church should be out there jockeying for space with these other types of camps, but how do you advertise to children and parents, and especially the parents, and because often the decisions are the parents. And then you have extra lessons where children are being sent to extra lessons in the summertime. How do you pull kids into VBS whilst there are these other things calling for their attention? Bishop?
Well, Stokeley did not mention those who travel overseas for summer holidays. That's also part of it.
Yes.
But in our experience, leading up to pre-pandemic, we didn't see it as being competing. We don't know that it's there, but what we do, because in our association we have our youth camp in July. In fact, my young people are at youth camp now. So we would actually wait until after either early July or after the Emancipation Independence period. And we only had it for 1 week. And we start at 9 in the morning until 1 p.m. in the afternoon. Right? So we didn't go a full day. And so we would wait. Usually the extra lessons and so forth from school, that's normally kept in July also. So you find that August was a more open period for that program. And what make our program attractive, we serve meals, and on the last day, some of the times we will have like bounce about and other things for the children. So they really look forward to coming to VBS and the time that they get for the different activities. As we say, we diversify the program to make it attractive. We do the religious scripture Bible-based part of it. Then we go into art and craft or other things, and then we go into sporting activities. And then they used to look forward for that final day when we would bring in a bounce about or something for them to do other things. And they play netball and so forth. So we really, as I said, we have had up to over 100 in our VBS at times.
I see. Very interesting.
We have never had the challenge of getting the kids in. I know that we are seeing some level of falling off in Sunday school and other children's program as a result of COVID, but that is nationally. It's reflected even in the school system also. It will take a little time to come back.
Pastor Kennedy?
Stokely, so I remember that youth camps used to have the same challenges where we had other institutions diversifying. Catering, you talked about animation and so on. And I remember the youth camps used to do the very thing. They would adopt these approaches and bring in people to deal with the very things that these other entities are doing. And so parents would still send their children to DBS and the camps. And is this happening with DBS? No, it's the same thing. We see a need out there. We see a particular area. And then what the church does is find a way to involve the gospel message in the presentation. So if you're doing animation and you're teaching them to develop any particular thing in animation, then you use biblical symbols and biblical information and so on to do it. So for the churches that have the resources, I think they're still in the game. There are some churches who might not have much resources, and then it becomes more challenging. But I think based on what I've been seeing with, say, summer schools, there are parents who recognize the importance of summer schools. But once we could say shift the time period. So for example, summer school will be for the first 3 weeks after school closes. Or once you can shift your schedule, move Bible school, DVBS, a little up further early August, then they'll send them out. And I think there are, if I, as a teacher myself in the school system, if you go to PTAs or so on, you find that parents do have a concern that certain things will take children away from DVBS and exposure to good Christian teaching. And so they are concerned and they are prepared to work with us to make the children available. So I think what these things are just challenges. This means that the church has to diversify. The church Stokeley has a foothold, traditionally has a foothold. And it's difficult to find a parent who would say to you, I'm not going to be sending my child to the DVDs because I want them to go to some summer training activity or so on. I don't think people have gotten to that stage. I think some of them are worried that their children might be losing out in terms of spiritual exposure in that sense. So a church that really wants to continue, a church that has the resources to do it, and a church that is just simply willing to innovate will be able to maintain. I think there's a concern about the numbers too, though. I think Reverend Pitkin just said that, or was it you, that some are going abroad and so on. Those are where the challenges are. But to be fair, a lot of these children go abroad and they end up going to churches that do have, good programs too, more resources, who are more multifaceted in their presentations and so on. And sometimes we might not benefit locally in terms of our own program, but we see children benefiting on a wider basis and even in a more profound way.
Do you think that there is anything further? I know you have you both sort of touched on it here and there, but do you think there is a particular strategy that churches can take to ensure that, one, VBS comes back fully on stream across the length and breadth of the island, and two, to make sure that children definitely look forward to it and to continue to get the parents interested in the few minutes that we have left? Starting with you, Bishop, and then Pastor.
Sure. Pastor Kennedy emphasized the importance of being innovative in what we do, and he also speak about resources, that some churches have more resources than some, and that's a fact. But there's on the other side to it is that if you're in a fellowship or in a denomination, churches with more resources should seek to help those with less resource. And the important thing is being able to diversify your program, being innovative in what you do. Yes, COVID has affected us and impacted us tremendously, and we cannot overlook or deny that. How we move forward is going to be very important. And the kind of programs that we're going to put in, and whether or not how we are going to infuse or incorporate animation where necessary, look at what we have been doing and what we need to do to continue to attract our children, what we need to do in the area of having our parents remain interested in the programs, and how we can make the programs attractive for the children to want to attend. That's going to be very important going forward.
Only because of time, Bishop, I want to bring in Pastor Kennedy for a final comment before we wrap.
Yes, COVID WhatsApp groups, putting these Sunday school children in WhatsApp groups and so on. Zoom has only had our ability to reach them and advertise. So I think over that,
I see. And do you see, you meant, well, WhatsApp and Zoom, these are online platforms. So are you both indicating that going forward into the future, you'll be using online platforms a little bit more for VBS?
I cannot say that totally. We use an online platform in 2020, 2021. We'll have to go back to the drawing board. We didn't see it as successful as we would have loved to have it. The Zoom can be a challenge.
Just thought I'd ask, but I think we have to leave it there this morning, Bishop and Pastor Cindy. I think we're totally out of time, but thank you for your contributions and for your thoughts. Listeners, please stay with us. We'll be right back on the Morning Watch.
Thank you for having us.
A pleasure.
Thank you, Stokeley. Bye.
Talk to Jane Bank today to find out about achieving your own sweet home in 30 days. The time by Jane Bank Mortgage is
7:30 and a half.
Jamaica! It's time to find your 2022 Gospel Star. Your vote will help to decide the winner. It's been 4 exciting weeks, and now it's down to the final 5. Watch the grand finale Saturday, July 30th, 8 p.m. on PBCJ, Love TV, Mellow TV, live streamed on the Jamaica Cultural Development Commission's Facebook and on YouTube JCDC Jamaica 1. Watch and vote. Powered by Chase Fund. Sponsored by Sagicor, Digicel, Pika, and Shirley.
Juicy patty, them double up the choices. And we know say you want to like it. And you face start your morning and fright with a cup of porridge full of a beer niceness. 2 combination, which one we try first? When you are go to school or you are go to work for one we double can fit twice the flavor. Or could that the pecan you end up a pay for? Try our pecan porridge, that's peanut mixed with hominy. Or our double corn porridge, that's hominy mixed with cornmeal. Try it today at Juicy Patties.
Available at participating stores.
Keep fully connected with Flow Fiber Fast Internet at home and on the road with LTE data and calls for a fast, reliable experience anywhere. Over 500 communities have been upgraded since 2020, making more of Jamaica Flow Fiber Fast. And with Yard and Road, get Flow Fiber Faster Yard and LTE Road for as low as $3,999 plus GCT. Visit discoverflow.co to get connected on Jamaica's largest network. Conditions apply.
Funfest is fun can done thanks to our partners Oreo, Cadbury, Tan, Nupa, Kraft Heinz, and Love FM. Come enjoy Funfest Family Festival with family, friends, and fun. Monday, August 1st, Emancipation Day at the New Hope Gardens. Gates open at 10 a.m. to 7 p.m. Follow us on social media at FunfestJA.
Funfest.
Welcome back to the Morning Watch. I'm your host, Stokeley Marshall. Let's take a look now at the newspapers to see what Jamaicans and others are saying and doing. We have in the Gleaner update, policewoman not linked to Donnelly Donaldson's disappearance, police say. And we have in the Observer, further afield, news from further afield, that is, Kim threatens to use nukes, that is, the head of North Korea, Kim Jong-un, threatens to use nukes amid tensions with US, South Korea. Those and other stories in both major daily newspapers. Of course, coming up next, we'll read through some of the feedback from our Facebook and WhatsApp question, which is, what do you see as a future of Daily Vacation Bible School, DVBS, in Jamaica? If you haven't done so yet, leave a comment on our Facebook or YouTube Love 101 FM Jamaica Live, and also WhatsApp comments and voice notes to 876-997-3125 using the hashtag The Morning Watch. We'll be right back.
King for the summer, Flow, you are the king for the flow. Some summer 60 mil cash and prize for the winners. Fun of summer. Enough winners. Make sure you're in.
Win your share of over $60 million in cash and prizes. Scratch your phone and win instant prize, plus a chance for win weekly prize of cash, tablets, and smart TVs. Dial star 129 star 6 number sign to activate any unlimited social plan. Get a yard and road plan or pay your bill on time and in full to win. Visit discoverflow.co. Conditions apply.
Flow, some summer. Fun of summer. 60 mil cash and prize for the winners. Some summer. Enough winners. Make sure you're in. The king said that. King for the summer. Flow, you are the king for the flow. Some summer. Plenty prize in a flow some summer.
Authorized under Section 58.3 of the Betting, Gaming and Lotteries Act.
Jamaica! It's time to find your 2022 Gospel Star. Your vote will help to decide the winner. It's been 4 exciting weeks, and now it's down to the final 5. Watch the grand finale Saturday, July 30th, 8 p.m. on PBCJ, Love TV, Mellow TV, live streamed on the Jamaica Cultural Development Commission's Facebook and on YouTube JCDC Jamaica 1. Watch and vote. Powered by Chase Fund. Sponsored by Sagicor, Digicel, Pika, and Shirley.
There's a massive warehouse clearance now on at Home and Things. Not 30, not 40, but up to 50% off.
What? Up to 50% off?
Yes, up to 50% off. Come select from the widest selection of tiles, bathroom fixtures and faucets, doors, windows, lighting, paints, and much more. All at unbeatable prices.
Sweet! The massive warehouse clearance at Home and Things, Old Hope Road and Constant Spring Road with up to 50% off. It's not just big.
It's massive.
Win a bag of cash for back to school with Alliance MoneyGram Money Transfer. Every MoneyGram Money Transfer you collect at an Alliance agent from now until September 9 gives you a chance to win a share of $2.8 million in cash.
That's a bag of cash.
10 winners of $20,000 from each parish, right in time for back to school from Alliance.
A bag of things for back to school.
Alliance, a member of Sagicor Group Jamaica. Conditions apply.
Tell me where you get the money transfer.
Alliance.
Every day I get bigger, every day I get better. I'm a star in that shimmer. Watch me grow, I'm a winner, yeah. Every step that I take, oh yeah. Feeling great cause I'm learning, yeah. I'm a star in that shimmer. Watch me grow, I'm a winner, yeah. La 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 la. Watch me grow with Alexa Plus.
Help support their mental development at this important stage with a unique combination of nutrients from Lacta Plus. This product is not intended to be a substitute for breast milk.
Digicel, Jamaica, haha. Always I put you first, and that we love, so we put in the work. Internet, yeah, fast like what? Digicel, we say #1 network. Good connection, coverage calls. Digicel, love you, how we set the bar. Jamaica, big up Jamaica. Jamaica, made in Jamaica.
For us, yard come first. Digicel, made in Jamaica.
Welcome back to the Morning Watch. I'm your host, Stokeley Marshall. Well, let's take a look now at the comments from our friends on Facebook and WhatsApp. Nadine, in terms of our question.
Yes, morning. And the question was about DVBS. Is it still keeping? And Auntie Pam says our church, is planning it, gets the children fully engaged, meaningful, wholesome activities. Mama Rebirth says yes, it is still keeping. My church in Waterhouse is going on right now. Please and thanks, she added. DVBS, this person, I don't say a name. A good way to introduce and empower children, teaching them about God. We are currently engaged in it and delighted to see the little ones. And the Cherry from Spanish Town says, very relevant now as back then. It's not just meet and greet. You learn about God, valuable lifelong lessons, how important you are, how to love yourself and loving others. And finally, Nicole says, VBS is still keeping in churches, but due to COVID, the amount is not the same.
Wow, amazing. We need to probably discuss this again. I mean, the question was, what do you see as the future of daily vacation Bible school? Yes, I mean, I didn't expect this barrage of comments, but we are grateful to all listeners for having
And my
comments.
church is having VBS too.
Okay, wonderful. Keep the comments coming, listeners. We like the feedback. We want to know that you're engaged, and definitely we can see that you're paying very close attention to the question. We are now moving right into the second watch. Farmers in parts of Europe, such as Germany, Italy, Poland, and Spain, and Holland, have been protesting. It all began back in about June of this year as farmers in the Netherlands protested over their government's proposals to slash emissions of nitrogen, a plan that will likely force cultivators to or others in farming, that is, cultivators and others involved in farming in whatever form, to cut their livestock herds or stop farming altogether, it is indicated. And we have online today to discuss this very interesting but somewhat controversial topic, Mr. Paul Carroll. Mr. Carroll is a consultant. I'm sorry, I think Paul or Paul? Carroll? Sir? Paul Carroll, Principal Consultant, Technological and Environmental Management, Network Limited, founding member of the Jamaica Institute of Environmental Professionals, that is JIEP. Thought I heard Mr. Carroll saying something a while ago. Maybe we didn't. We also have online this morning Dr. Ralph Scholhammer, Professor of Political Science at Webster Vienna Private University in the European nation of Austria. Good day, Mr. Carroll, and good day, Dr. Scholhammer. Are you both on?
Good morning.
Good morning.
Great having you both.
I hasten to say, a founding member of the GIEP, not the founding member.
Oh, okay. Okay, thank you for that, sir. Appreciate that very much. We don't have a lot of time today and never enough time on the morning watch, but we will try to use our time judiciously. Now, first of all, what is this protest all about? Or what are these protests all about in Europe by the European farmers? I'm going to start with you, Dr. Scholhammer, only because you're from Austria, not picking you over Mr. Carroll. But Dr. Scholhammer, what's really happening? What do you see happening in Europe at this time?
I mean, these protests, they have now garnered more media attention, but they have been going on since 2019. And the main reason is...
Can you pause a moment? Can you pause a moment, Dr. Scholhammer? You're saying that these protests have been taking place since 2019.
They only stopped during the COVID pandemic because the Dutch government made significant restrictions on people being allowed to go out in the streets. But the clash and the tensions between the farming community and the agricultural industry and the Dutch government has been in the making for a while now. So this is something that has come up already a couple of years ago, and it's now getting more intense, but it's not necessarily entirely new. I think we lost Marshall. Is that possible?
Yes, we're getting him back on. Thank you so much, Ralph.
No problem.
To remind our listeners, you're tuned to Love 101, and this is the Morning Watch. Go right ahead, Stokeley.
Yes, gentlemen. I think there was a little challenge with the technology. Are you hearing me better now?
Yes.
I think you're muted.
But in terms of the justification of these protests, I mean, who is right? Are the protests Are the protests considered to be justified or not? Dr. Schallhammer again before we...
Well, yes and no, right? Like with every protest, I think there are some genuine issues that they address that I think they are justified in addressing. There are other areas where I think they get a little bit overboard, but I think overall the important thing is that nobody in the Netherlands, even in the larger agricultural industry and even agricultural lobby groups, that none of them is against reducing emissions. The main problem is the time that the government gives them, right? So the time frame is to reduce it significantly. In some areas, nitrogen is supposed to be reduced by 70 to 95% until 2030. And they say they can do this, but if they cannot meet these targets, many of them fear or claim that they have to give up their farms and their farming land altogether. And if you look at the numbers over the past decades, the Dutch have been very good in reducing emissions, right? Their farming is compared to the amounts that they produce and the number of livestock they have is very efficient, is compared to other countries low in emissions. It's just high because they have so many of it. So their main problem and complaint is about the time frame. So it's not that they're against protecting the environment or against reducing emissions. They just say they cannot do it, or they cannot maintain the output they have if they're forced to do this within the next 8 to 15 years.
Dr. Schallhammer, I think we are already upon a break, and we were trying to bring in Mr. Carroll before the break, but alas, we are upon a break and we have some technological issues. Listeners, please stay with us. Very interesting. We'll be right back on the Morning Watch. Oh, I now gather that we are not going to be moving on to the break. Mr. Carroll, any comments, sir? Because some persons looking on might say, well, the farmers may have a concern, but nevertheless, a genuine concern as to how to make the environment better. Cleaner air, I certainly like cleaner air. People want cleaner seas, cleaner harbors. And in terms of farming, you would hope and want for farmers to engage in practices that would be better off for the environment, but they are nevertheless having challenges. How does an environmentalist navigate this kind of terrain, sir?
Well, you know, we all want a good living standard. We all want a clean environment. I guess the question is, how much are we willing to give up? You know, we all complain about the plastics and the various things entering into the environment. Are we willing to give up plastics? How much are we willing to sacrifice? Now, it's important to look at the chemistry of what is involved here.
I'm going to ask to pause one moment there, Mr. Carroll, not because I'm having a challenge with your argument, but what I think some of the farmers are trying to say, they feel as if their sector is being chosen, if I could use that term, in terms of cutting emissions and making the sacrifices, whilst other sectors such as aviation, for example,
oh no.
Frozen?
I think so. Yeah.
All right, go right ahead.
Yes, Mr. Carroll, we do apologize again for that interruption, but you heard the question. Continue, Mr. Carroll, in light of what I just said.
Yes. And now the thing with this particular situation, right, is that if we look at what this problem is, let's state the problem. The problem right now, as we understand it, is that the farmers are being asked to cut their emissions by 50% nationwide by 2030 with regard to two specific compounds, nitrous oxide and ammonia. Now, it is interesting to note that nitrous oxide, N2O, is not mentioned in the Kyoto Protocol. So this is coming from behind. But yet, nitrous oxide is a very potent greenhouse gas, right? Which has been stated with a global warming impact that is estimated at 300-fold higher than the main greenhouse gas, carbon dioxide, right? So this is there's no two ways about it. Action will have to be taken, and it has to be global. It has to be global, right? As to the timing of it, that is probably where the real issue lies, because regardless, we have to be practical in our approach and practical in the targets that we set to make sure that we are setting targets that are achievable. That is the main thing. Because, look, we're not going to turn vegetarian, right? All of us. Let's do a small amount of us going to be vegetarian, okay? So we need the beef. Now, obviously, we're going to have to change the way in which we do things. But as I say, and as the good doctor said, we have to really be mindful of the timelines in which we set ourselves to achieve certain targets. Or else it's going to be...
Mr. Carroll.
And of course...
Mr. Carroll, any comments? Any further comments, Dr. Shalhammer?
No, I fully agree. I think this is absolutely correct. I mean, nobody in their right mind would deny the problems with greenhouse gas emissions. And yes, nitrous oxide is absolutely right. Is more potent than many others. I think this is absolutely correct. But I fully agree with Mr. Carroll. Right? It's about a timeline. I think what unnerves many in the Dutch case, but all over Europe, is that they feel that they are faced with goals that are unachievable. It's not the principle of protecting and reducing and mitigating climate change and other environmental issues. It's really primarily the time frame. And one other thing I think that was mentioned previously, but that I also found so important, what Mr. Carroll said, right, is people tend to care more about the environment once they reach a certain living standard. And there are still millions of people in the world for whom, access to clean water, access to food is a real issue. So if we kind of don't find ways to ensure that people in, Nigeria and Ethiopia and Pakistan have reliable access to food, they will never get on board with any kind of large-scale environmental program. And the thing about the Dutch is, I think, one issue. They are 0.46% of global CO2 emissions come from the Dutch. So even if we kind of close down the entire Netherlands, the global climate will not be significantly affected. And this is kind of personally, this is my main concern, is the Dutch are good at what they're doing, right? So instead of them kind of helping other countries to become as efficient in some areas of their agricultural practices, it now looks like we're undermining one of the most innovative agricultural countries in the world. And my question for the European Union is very often, is this done based on science, or is at least a significant part done based on ideology? And at least to some extent, I think it's part the former, but it's also something of the latter.
And what I also find interesting is that in Asia, well, to be more specific, countries such as China, they don't seem to be in an equivalent way reducing their emissions. Any comments on that, Dr. Scholhammer?
No, I mean, I think that that's exactly the difference, right? The Chinese also care about the environment, but they are pragmatic about it, right? Their priorities are set. First, they want to maintain economic growth. They want to build out their middle class because the CCP, the Chinese Communist Party, needs support of the growing middle class, so they have to protect them. And then number three is for them also kind of taking care of environmental issues. But that's kind of rock solid in their political programs. So for example, they do a lot in solar. China built more photo solar panels this year than Germany did in the last 20 years. But they did so because they see it as part of a larger project, but it's not primarily driven ideologically. So I think this is what I'm missing in the European case. We are not pragmatic about it. I can't speak to the situation in Jamaica or other countries, but in Europe, we don't have a pragmatic approach. We have, I believe, too much of an ideological approach. And I think this is, on the long run, not a recipe for success.
And the protests are continuing in Europe, Dr. Schonhammer?
Yes.
I see. And do you see any end in sight in the near future, or what do you foresee?
In the European case, I think one way or the other, the protests are going to end, primarily because the attention span also of the public is very, very limited. We see this also, which is a completely different topic, but we also see this with the war in Ukraine. So I assume that there will be a solution one way or another. It's going to be, I guess, a very European solution that I believe is going to be, we keep these emissions goals for 2030, but we're going to make them voluntary. That is my expectation. That's kind of how the Europeans like to do it, because then both sides can say that they take away a win. One side can say we stuck to our guns with the emission goals, and the other side can say we did the same and we kind of just try to give our best. So I think it's going to be a compromise one way or another.
And some of the farmers are of the view that while the goal has been communicated as protecting the environment, they feel as if it's an attempt to take away their land. I mean, what do they really mean by that, Dr. Sholama?
Well, that is not wrong, right? I mean, this is what the government has been saying, that if these emission goals cannot be met, right, that expropriation or kind of taking away land from the farmers is on the table. So this is one of the things that's not a conspiracy theory or anything. This is something that was stated publicly. The Dutch government actually did say explicitly, that the Prime Minister Mark Rutte in the Netherlands says explicitly that yes, if these rules are implemented, some farmers will not survive. So this is, he said it in Dutch, but it's otherwise a direct quote. So this is something that they are definitely counting on, and it frustrates the Dutch farmers, right? Because they don't know what the future looks like. We are talking about, these are not poor people, to be clear, right? These are large scale farming entities, but some of them have been within the same families for 4, 5, 6 generations. So for them, this is more than just an economic issue. It's also a cultural issue. It's in many areas a very personal issue. It's a very complex thing, but generally also at the moment, the population for now, like this can switch if they get annoyed by it, but for now the population also tends to be on the side of their farmers. So currently it looks as if the farmers are having the upper hand in this conflict, but this of course can change over the next couple of weeks.
In the time that we have left, never enough time in the morning watch, and we didn't expect to be able to do an exhaustive discussion this morning. But Mr. Carroll, we are here in Jamaica. Do you see any relevance to any element of this in the Caribbean and in Jamaica? Because we here in the Caribbean are also concerned about protecting the environment. Mr. Carroll?
Well, clearly we're entering dangerous waters. And we can't look at the view that because we are so far away, or seemingly so far away, that this is not going to affect it. It is a global problem, and it's going to affect all of us. Now, we are particularly vulnerable as we call ourselves SIDS, Small Island Developing States. And even though we might not be at the epicenter of the problem, we stand to be heavily impacted by the whole phenomenon of global warming, much to a greater degree than even those that are the main contributors to global warming. So we will have to be very careful how we handle the situation. And certainly one of the things that seem to be necessary in our change, needs a change of approach going forward, where we seriously look at shifting our priorities in terms of how we spend the limited resources that we have on earth, because these resources are not infinite. And the rate at which we are using them up to pursue certain activities that are not necessarily adding to the sustainability of us as a race, as a civilization. We have to really stop and take a stop.
I think we need to leave it there this morning, but I do think we need to have a further discussion in relation to some of the points both of you have mentioned. But I gather that we are already totally out of time, and we do apologize for the technical glitches that had interrupted this particular segment. Gentlemen, I want to thank you, Mr. Carroll and Dr. Shulham. A very interesting conversation, and I think the discussion may continue. Thank you, gentlemen. Thank you for your time and for your thoughts. Thank you, listeners, for being with us. And, of course, visit the Love 101 FM YouTube and Facebook page for this and all other Love 101 FM programs. I'm going to listen to the Morning Watch on our Love 101 app and download it today and stay connected to the family station, Love 101 FM, the number 4 station in the island and the number 1 gospel station in Jamaica. This has been the Morning Watch. Have a blessed weekend. Join Reverend Dr. Dylan Toussaint next week. Reverend Dr. Dylan Toussaint next week, when he will continue to set the stage for the discussion of topical and controversial issues. And, of course, thanks to our producer, Kathy Gale, and to our guests. I am Stokeley Marshall, handing back to Love in the Morning with Nadine Blair.
The NHF is here for you, helping Jamaican residents pay less for medication with the NHF card. The time by the National Health Fund is
8 o'clock